Okay, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and do the cones. Okay, so very similar to the other one. Okay, so again, we're going to find the perimeter. So it's really going to be half of the perimeter, which is really the circumference of the circle. So it's really half of, and the formula for circumference of a circle is, can you think of it? It is 2 pi r, and then we got our slant height. Okay, plus we need one of the bases, which is the area of a circle, which is just pi r squared. We're going to clean this up a little bit. Okay, and what is half times 2? Well, those are actually reciprocals of each other, so it's really going to become pi rl plus pi r squared. Okay, so really the only two inputs you have to find on a cone are the slant height and the radius. Okay, those are your only two inputs in the formula. Okay, all right, so let's look at number 1 here. So if you look, remember our slant height is the one on the outside, so I want you to think, is it 24 or is it 26? Well, the one on the outside of it is 26, so our slant height is 26, and our radius in this case is 10. Okay, so pretty straightforward on this one. The information is given to you, so we don't have to do P, B, and L on this one. We just have to use pi RL plus pi r squared, and then we're just going to go substitute everything in. Okay, so it's pi, and what was our radius? Our radius here was 10. Our slant height was 26. Okay, and then it was pi times 10 squared. Okay, if you go multiply this out on your calculator, I'll do it for you. You do simply pi times 10 times 26 plus pi times 10 squared. Oops. And you get 360 pi inches squared, or if you went to decimal land, it'd be 1130.97. And that would also be inches squared. Okay? So the key on this one is find the radius and then find the slant height and realizing, well, what did they give you? Okay? All right, so I want you to look at number 3. This is our last cone example we're going to do. Your radius is easy. Your radius is 5. Okay? But if you look here, this is not the slant height. This is the height of the cone, which is one we'll use for volume later, but for surface area, we need the slant height, which is actually on the outside. But again, if you look, I have a right triangle here, and it's actually a lot easier to see on the cone than it was over here, but you still have a right triangle in there. So we're going to set this up to find L. Okay, and really the bottom here is 5. I know it's a right triangle. This is 10, and this is L. Okay, so again, I'm going to use Pythagorean to find this. All right, so how am I going to set that up? Well, it's our hypotenuse. So it's going to be L squared is equal to 10 squared plus 5 squared. If I compute this out, that's 100 plus 100, or 100 plus 25, so it's 125 is L squared, and that is not L. I still got to get rid of that squared, so I'm going to take the square root, which you're all pretty adept at doing that. Square root of 125, is 11.18. Okay, so I have all my inputs I need, and I'm going to write my formula. I want you guys to write the formula on each of these two. Is pi RL plus pi r squared. So that's pi times 5 times 11.18 plus pi times 5 squared. since I have a decimal in here, I'm going to go to decimal land for all this, because that's really what the calculator will give you. All right, so if I do pi times 5 times 11.18, not 08, plus pi times 5 squared, or 25, gives me 254.15, and it's 254.15, and that would be centimeters squared. Okay, so the whole key on these is looking and saying, hey, what did they give us? Did they give us the slant height or the height? Okay, so if you look at the one on the back, if it's written on the outside, that is the what? That's our slant height. Okay, if it's the one on the inside, that is not the slant height. The slant height's going to be out here, so you're going to have to use Pythagorean to find it. Okay, so you always have to look what's given. If it's on the outside, like it is on, oops, I don't know if you can see what I did up here. This one's on the outside, so that is L. If you look at this one on the inside, it's not, so you're going to have to use Pythagorean to find L. Okay, if you look here on number 7, we don't know the slant height. Here we do know the slant height. Okay, all right, so you're going to finish this. Okay, once you're working on that now, work with partner, work with groups. Crank these out. Hopefully it won't be too hard. So you got some nice Pythagorean review in here, and you also have the different formulas and cranking out the values. Okay, good luck.